The sun hung low in the vast Arizona sky, painting the desert in shades of gold and red. Emily Thompson lay on the hot sand, her body weak and her mind drifting like the distant tumbleweeds. She was 32, with sun-kissed skin and hair the color of wheat fields back home in Kansas. But now, those fields felt like a dream from another life. The air was dry, carrying the faint scent of sagebrush and dust. She closed her eyes, listening to the soft whisper of the wind. It was quiet out here, so quiet that her thoughts echoed louder than any city noise. Emily had come to the desert seeking adventure, a break from her routine job as a teacher in a small town. She met Mark at a roadside diner, his smile charming and his stories full of promise. He said he knew the hidden spots, the places where the stars shone brightest. But promises can turn to dust, just like the ground beneath her. Last night, after a heated argument over nothing, money, plans, the future, he drove off in their rented Jeep, leaving her with only a half-empty water bottle and the clothes on her back. "You'll find your way," he shouted as the engine roared away. She watched the taillights fade into the night, her heart sinking with them. The morning brought no relief. The heat rose steadily, wrapping around her like a heavy blanket. She walked for hours, her feet blistering in her worn sneakers. Thirst clawed at her throat, and her lips cracked under the relentless sun. Why had she trusted him? It was a question that looped in her mind, simple and painful. Back home, her friends warned her about rushing into things, but Emily always believed in second chances. Now, those chances seemed buried in the sand. She stumbled, falling to her knees. The world blurred, the horizon wavering like a mirage. Was this how it ended? Alone, forgotten in a sea of emptiness. As the day wore on, Emily's strength ebbed away. She thought of her classroom, the children's laughter, the smell of chalk and crayons. It was a relatable life, one of quiet joys and small struggles. Paying bills on time, dreaming of travel, hoping for love that lasted. But here, in the desert's grip, those dreams felt distant. She curled up, shielding her face from the sun, and whispered a prayer to the empty sky. The wind answered with a gentle hush, stirring the grains around her. Then, a sound broke the silence, a steady clip-clop of hooves on hard earth. Emily lifted her head, squinting against the light. A figure approached on horseback, silhouetted like something from an old western tale. The horse was a sturdy bay, its coat gleaming with sweat. The rider wore a wide-brimmed hat, jeans faded from years of wear, and a button-up shirt rolled to the elbows. He dismounted smoothly, his boots crunching on the gravel as he knelt beside her. "Miss, you all right?" His voice was deep and calm, like a river flowing over stones. He had a weathered face, lines etched from sun and time, but his eyes were kind, a soft blue that held no judgment. Emily tried to speak, but her words came out as a rasp. He uncapped his canteen and held it to her lips, letting the cool water trickle in slowly. "Easy now," he said. "Don't rush it." She drank, feeling life seep back into her veins. He introduced himself as Jack Harlan, a cowboy who roamed these parts, tending to cattle on a nearby ranch. No frills, just a man and his horse, living simply under the wide sky. Jack helped her onto his horse, his hands strong but gentle. They rode at a leisurely pace, the animal's gait rocking like a cradle. The desert unfolded around them, cacti standing tall like silent guardians, distant mountains purple in the haze. Jack spoke little at first, giving her space to breathe. But as the sun dipped lower, he shared bits of his world. "This land can be harsh," he said, pausing to let the words settle. "But it's honest. Shows you what you're made of." They reached his ranch as twilight fell, the air cooling with a welcome sigh. It was a modest place. A wooden cabin with a porch, a barn weathered by storms, and a few cows grazing in a fenced corral. Jack settled Emily inside, on a soft couch by the window. He brewed coffee on an old stove, the aroma filling the room like a warm embrace. "Rest here," he told her. "I'll fix some supper." Over a simple meal of beans, cornbread, and fresh tomatoes from his garden, Emily shared her story. The words tumbled out slowly, her voice gaining strength with each pause. Jack listened without interruption, nodding occasionally, his fork scraping the plate in rhythmic beats. "People make mistakes," he said finally, his tone even. "Doesn't mean you deserve this." There was no pity in his eyes, just understanding, a relatable kindness that made her feel seen. That night, Emily slept in a guest room, the sheets clean and smelling of sun-dried cotton. Outside, crickets chirped a lullaby, and the stars blanketed the sky. She dreamed of home, but also of this stranger who had pulled her from the edge. The next morning dawned soft and golden. Jack was up early, feeding the animals. Emily joined him, her body sore but her spirit mending. They walked the ranch together, his steps unhurried, matching her pace. He showed her the spring where clear water bubbled up, the wildflowers blooming in hidden spots. "Life finds a way out here," he said, plucking a bloom and handing it to her. Their fingers brushed, a spark in the quiet air. As days passed, Emily stayed on. The desert's rhythm soothed her. Mornings of coffee on the porch, afternoons riding fences, evenings by the fire. Jack was a man of few words, but each one carried weight. He spoke of his past. Growing up on this land, losing his parents young, building a life from the ground up. It was relatable, the way hardship shapes a person without breaking them. Emily opened up too, about her teaching, her dreams of writing stories, her fear of being alone. Their conversations flowed like a gentle stream, with pauses where silence said enough. One evening, as they sat watching the sunset, colors bleeding across the sky, Jack grew thoughtful. "There's something I should tell you," he said, his voice steady but soft. Emily turned, her heart quickening. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a faded photo, a younger him, standing beside a sleek city building. "I'm not just a cowboy," he confessed. "Years ago, I struck oil on this land. Made me a millionaire overnight. But I chose this life. The simple one. Money's in the bank, but it doesn't define me." The revelation hung in the air, a gentle twist that shifted everything yet changed nothing. Emily stared, processing his words. He wasn't poor. He could have mansions, cars, a world of luxury. But here he was, in dusty boots, content with the basics. "Why tell me now?" she asked, her voice a whisper. "Because you see me for who I am," Jack replied, his eyes meeting hers. "Not the money, the man." It was true. In their slow days together, she'd fallen for his quiet strength, his respect for the land, his unwavering kindness. The wealth was just a detail, like the hidden springs in the desert, surprising, but not the essence. Emily felt a warmth spread through her, emotional and deep. She leaned in, and their lips met in a kiss as soft as the evening breeze. It wasn't rushed. It built like the dawn, full of promise. Weeks turned to months. Emily decided to stay, not for the money, but for the life they built. She taught online, sharing her stories with the world, while Jack managed the ranch. They married under a canopy of stars, simple vows exchanged with the desert as witness. No grand displays, just them, grounded in love. Years later, as they sat on the porch, gray in their hair but hearts full, Emily reflected on that fateful day. The desert had tried to claim her, but fate sent Jack. He wasn't just a savior, he was her partner, rich in ways that mattered. And in the quiet pauses of their life, they found peace, a satisfying end to a story written in sand and stars.